We're here with Andrew Bucknall, who is running for District 1 Austin City Council. Thank you for being here, Andrew.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Andrew, there's a lot of people running in your race, I believe 9 candidates, and you have a good environmental background. Tell us a little bit about why you are the leading candidate, especially for people who care about the environment.
Well, I'm a native Austinite. Some of my earliest memories of Austin are sitting beside Barton Springs and Deep Eddy. And I always remember laying back and listening to the sound of the wind blowing through the leaves of the tree and just closing my eyes and imagining those springs that were there when the first Austinites came and how they lived off of those springs, fished in the waters, played, drank probably from those waters, and how those waters really connect us all together. And I think today in our modern society, we really get disconnected from our natural environment. And we start to look at the environment as that, which is within the 4 walls, our heating and air conditioned space. But we have to get outside of our house and in the environment and look around us and see what's happening today to our environment and really look at the legacy that we leave behind for our children. So it's really important for me. My parents have always been big advocates for the environment. Okay. So it's something that I've been taught at an early age that we need to respect and honor our environment.
All right, so that's looking back, looking forward. What is your greatest hope for the next 5 years in terms of Austin's environment?
I think that we have a lot of challenges with the traffic that we have and the congestion and the resulting emissions from cars. We have to be really careful with our planning and make sure that we honor our environment with our planning as well as build for affordability. So, growth is going to happen in Austin. Mm-hmm. We can't stop it, and we shouldn't even try. We've tried to not build and they won't come. It hasn't worked. It has really multiplied some of the issues that we have in Austin. So we really have to do a good job of planning and make sure that environment is part of our planning process.
Okay. And how would you provide leadership? You have some experience in the field of transportation. What sort of solutions should we be forwarding?
I think solutions, what's really key to finding good solutions is having good dialogue. So I don't know if you've been following the debate with the rail or not to rail. It gets really heated and contested. And
what do you think we should be doing?
I think it's good to get ideas. We should be talking about it, but we should be talking about it in a way that moves towards solutions instead of polarization. So
what's your solution?
I think that we need to have the dialogue and we need to have the discussion without pointing fingers and say, you're wrong and you're wrong. Mm-hmm. So instead we need to say, what can we do to come together and how can we make this work best? I have concerns with rail being very expensive. Mm-hmm. I have some concerns with Capital Metro and their past performance with the last rail, mm-hmm. going way over budget and not contracting with someone who really had the abilities to provide. They had to basically lay the rail twice, which made it twice as expensive. So really making sure that we have the conversations so that we're not just fighting over something and coming up with some kind of compromise or something that's made from a heated moment of battle, but something that really makes sense for Austin. So that really requires for all of us to do a little bit of suspension of disbelief. So that is, sometimes we get an idea stuck in our head and we say, I am not going to budge from this position. Sometimes we have to let go of that a little bit and open ourselves to other people's ideas so we can find solution. So one of the biggest strengths that I bring to City Council is that I don't have all the answers.
Right.
The answers are a shared process of leadership where it gets passed around and we all have a part of that conversation. So my role is making sure that everybody has a part mm-hmm. and a place at the table to participate in that dialogue.
Okay. Yours says to preserve Austin's unique environment, we must purchase, preserve, and protect. Say more about those strategies.
Well, I think that we have to continue to purchase environmentally sensitive areas. Okay. That's really the only long-term way that we can preserve environmental areas, especially when we're talking about Save Our Springs and the recharge zone. Mm-hmm. That's one of the best ways that we've been able to provide long-term preservation. And then we have to be able to use those resources to help provide funds, and also that we don't just create areas that we take off of use, public use. These are public lands and they should be available for use. So it kind of goes back to planning. Where do we have certain kind of industries or other kind of uses and where are they not appropriate? I think, for instance, having wafer fab on top of our Edwards Aquifer recharge zone is probably not the best use. We have to be careful about where we locate different services and how they're going to impact our environment.
Okay. Let's shift to energy. Where should we be getting it? Where should we not be getting it? And what do you think we should be doing to provide leadership?
Well, I hope that every other person who's running for city council agrees with me that we should be going to renewables and moving away from fossil fuels. I think that we have to be careful when we're talking about our long-range climate plan, that when we're moving away from fossil fuels, we're not moving into nuclear fuels. So that I know there's talk about recommissioning or extending the life of STMP in Bay City.
STP now.
STP, yeah, not nuclear. But I think that we need to be really careful that, although we don't see the pollution, that nuclear is very dangerous.
Right.
And we're right up the Gulf Stream from Bay City. So if there is a release of radiation, it can come here. And they do have frequent leaks of small amounts of radiation. It gets shut down a lot, which is why it is not very cost efficient. So we need cost efficient investments in renewables, which also help impact our community. I think we can build a whole new industry here in solar energy, and
Right.
I think we can impact affordability in that development.
Excellent. You say one of our top priorities is to improve our air quality. How would you propose to do that, especially in your district?
Well, as I go around, I meet with people. One of the biggest issues they have with the mass transit system is that it's not frequent enough and that it's not reliable enough. So I've noticed that we have a trend to move towards bigger and bigger buses that are less and less frequent. I think having smaller buses that are more frequent will increase rideability. We'll get more people on the bus. If we can get the bus stops closer to people's houses, they'll be more likely to ride. So that's a group of people that are transit dependent. And there's a whole other group of people who have cars, and we're expecting them to change their behaviors. And if we're going to reduce emissions, people are going to have to change their behaviors. I think in order to incentivize the change of behavior, we have to make it more attractive. So I don't know if you've ever been to 6th Street, but whenever I try to go there, I drive around for at least 30 minutes looking for a place to park. If there was a park and ride that wasn't too far from downtown, I would park there.
Sure.
And I would pay to use a shuttle, especially one that went for later hours. So I think we need to look at where there is consumer demand and how we can meet the need for a hybrid system that help meet people from a car to the mass transit and provide them back again. Because we're going to need that kind of transition. I don't think we're going to go from our doorstep to our destination on a bus. That's just not going to happen. So we have to say, how do we connect people through other modes of transportation?
Excellent. Well, Andrew, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. And
Thank you.
good luck with your race.
Thank you. Appreciate it.